Hello everyone and welcome back to this Creative Challenge Illustrator. I am so excited today to show you how to do text halftones because I personally have been seeing it everywhere on TikTok, and I actually learned this new technique only for you. I love doing those challenges because I get to learn something and then show what I learned back to you. So without further ado, let's go to our presentation here that I have for you. Basically, last week I talked about grids and basically saying that the full project that I wanted to do for myself for this creative challenge was creating a newspaper design. And I have been working at it and I'm so in love with the product. You don't have to do this, you can do this individually, but if you want to follow along for the ride, in your starter kit, you also have a newspaper grid. We will be building on that, which will be so fun. All right, so this is the cover that we are going to be doing today. And this is a halftone type. So essentially a halftone was used back when they wanted to save ink to basically doing some shading. We saw this a lot in comic books, and it was also a technique to create texture, which is exactly what we are going to look at today. So it is somewhat of a tedious process, maybe some features that you have not been using before, because personally I was not using them before, but now I am, which is so fun. But you do have all of your steps here in the presentation to go back to in case you need that as a reference. Not only do you have this video, but you have the steps. So without further ado, let's go to Illustrator. And essentially this is what we will be working on today. And then we will put that in a design. And before we get started, I want to say hi to our beautiful people in the chat. I'm seeing Voodoo Val. Hey, Val, it's so nice to see you here. Robert, I'm seeing Carol, I'm seeing Frank, Patrick, Alejandro. It's so good to see everyone here. Keys, nice to see you here. All right, so in order to do this, let's go here to our newspaper layout grid. And this is a grid that we have done again last week. You don't need to use this for the purpose of this challenge, so I will just go and hide that grid for now. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do here is just typing a letter. So I'm gonna do, let's say the letter I for Izzy. Every time I do this though, I feel so conceited because it's like I. And I don't want to be an I person. I want to be a we person. Okay, so I'm going to change the font just because I want to have an I that's just a bit more giving, that has a bit more shape. So I'm looking for an I like this, and I'm going to bold, I'm going to black that. You can choose whatever font that you want, whatever thickness that you want, but I have noticed that it works better when it's with a thicker font. Now, okay, this is where it gets a little tricky. And tricky, I mean, again, we're gonna do all those steps together. And I'm seeing Annika and Emily. So nice to see some Adobe family here. Nice to see you. So, all right, so here we will go to appearance. Usually the appearance menu is on the right-hand side of Illustrator, but if you don't see it, you can also go to window and appearance. So let's click on this here. And as you can see, there is the FX. Clever, right? It's just the two letters that says FX. You're going to click on that and you're going to go to rasterize. Now this pop-up menu is going to show up, and it's probably going to either be RGB or maybe CMYK, depending on what was the variants that you did when opening or creating your Illustrator file. You want to make sure that this is grayscale. And I cannot stress this enough, grayscale. I want all of you to type it in the chat. grayscale, just to prove to me that you're listening, that you need to have this step, grayscale, in order for this to work. So I'm gonna wait a bit for all of you so I can see it right here. So next, you want to make sure that the resolution is at 300 dpi and that the background is white. Now, I had already this preset because I have been doing this, but it's probably going to be transparent. So just make sure to have white and 300 dpi. The rest is all good. All right. Now we're going to click on FX one more time, and we're going to do a blur. So you go down, blur, and then you do a radial blur. Now this menu is going to pop up. This you can have a little play with, and if ever, oh, I see it. I see you, Isa, Grayscale, Carol, Patrick, Frank, Robert. Thank you so much. Sherry, Voodoo Val. Okay, you are listening. Thank you so much for validating. And Clever Devlin adding a dinosaur emoji. I mean, why not? So here, when you are in the radial blur, you want to basically go between 70 to 100%. Basically what this is going to do is just add that texture. It's still going to be a bit blurry. I'm gonna go here with 80 in the middle, maybe 83. And you want to make sure that the blur method is at zoom. So click OK. Like so. See, it's already starting to look like what we are trying to do here. Now we're going to click FX one more time. FX, pixelate, and then color halftone. And here, this is probably going to be different. So you want to type it 10. I wrote this down too in the document for you to follow. And your channels are already at the right setting because you have changed your settings to grayscale. So you don't touch that. Just put 10 here and press OK. And here you go. You have a halftone type. Now, what I like about this is that you can still edit your type. So if I did an A, B, C, how cool is this? I'm gonna go back to I. Now, oops, something that I have noticed here is sometimes you need to be doing only one letter at a time before expanding it, because if you were to have a full word like so, see, you're starting to lose some of the clearness of the word. So this here, if ever you wanted to fix it, you could always come back to here. See, you have your effects as if they were layers right here, radial blur, and then just bring this down. It's unfortunate that we don't have a preview. So here it's just kind of doing it so we don't necessarily see what it's going to look like, but you just want to be bringing it down a bit. Because it's a zoom, it's essentially expanding the colors around the word. And it's not necessarily the color because it's grayscale. See, I need to bring this down a little bit more. So this is definitely going to be a trial and error. See, I'm not happy with this. But another thing that you can do, if I go back, is just expanding your letters individually. So I'm gonna go back here and just add more amount here, like so. I had 83, I think. There you go. And you can always just duplicate your letter like so to create a full word. And you're hoping that it's not a long word. Or if you have the time and you want to be extra, go for a long word. All right. And because I have technically two Z in Izzy, I only have to do one. I don't have to do two. So I'm just going to put this here on the side. Now you're probably thinking, all right, but there is that white background. And why do I need that white background? Why did I click transparent? If you were to go back here at the rasterize and do transparent, and do OK, you will notice that it just blurs everything out. It's not doing the halftone effect that we want. So that's why it's important to have that white. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how to expand it so we don't see the white in the back. So here, clicking on my letter I again, I'm going to go to Object and then Expand Appearance. Perfect. And here I still have a white background, which is totally normal, but I want to go to Window and then Image Trace, because we're going to have to be just a bit tedious here again with the image trace. So you're probably going to see it when it's like this menu is smaller. If you see, there you go, advanced here. It's probably going to be like this. You want to make sure that you are clicking on the advanced option like so. And then you can make sure that your mode is black and white. It should be because it's already in grayscale. And then you can play with your threshold like so, corners, and just adjusting as much as you want. Make sure that the preview here is checked. And here when you go into option, you can say ignore color and it will ignore the white. So if I go back here, as you can see now, there is no more white. So I just want to make sure that we are still keeping that roundness from the halftone, because as you're playing with those values here, you'll see that some of the, like, we're losing some details or adding some details. I am pretty happy with this here. So now I'm going to go to property and then expand. And now I have a halftone letter done in, I mean, that was 10 minutes, but I took a really long time explaining it, but so quickly. And once you have this figured out, essentially what you can do is just copy your letter like so, and then change it to build your word. Whenever you're putting it back together though, make sure that the kerning is proper and correct, which is also a big learning on its own. Okay, now doing this like method, I want to build the cover of the newspaper layout that I'm building right now. So I'm going to go, just going to put this on the side because I don't need it for now. I'm actually going to go and do the full word for the sake of time, but I would usually do one letter at a time. So the title of my newspaper is Designer, so this is crazy, Confession. And you'll see your file will get heavy as you're doing this. This is completely normal. So here, as you can see, we can't read. So going back into appearance in radial blur, and I'm just going to bring everything down. I'm not gonna have that crazy halftone effect around everything because the amount will be so low. But like I said, I'm doing this now just for the purpose of this demonstration. I am pretty happy with this. I'm going to do the same thing where I expand it, expand appearance. Gonna go back to image trace. Let's see, I did something weird here because it's not appearing properly. Let me figure this out. There you go. I just had to move it. That is so weird. Okay, I'm going to ignore color, play with the threshold a bit, make it sure it's at preview. That's okay. It's just saying that everything will appear slowly. And there you go. I think I want to add more details. See, the longer the word, the more it has to think. But I do like how this kind of messy that it's looking. Now, if you are working from the grid again, you can go and put these back. I'm going to make this smaller. Oh, you should hear the fan going on my computer right now. Everything is thinking really hard. Just making this smaller. Torm is saying, amazing. Aprua, ta-ta-da-da. I hope this was for the the halftone. The Illustrator. There you go. And then I know I want to have my layout like so. And I'm going to use the grid as guide, which was the whole mojo for our previous challenge last week. If you've missed it, you can always watch the replay. I actually want to have that D touching that line here. I'm going to put this here. And because these are confessions, I figured that having a mouth as an image, saying like I'm opening up and opening my big mouth, that could be cool to have as an image. So I'm going to place some images here. Just a little collage. Oh, the second one didn't work. Sometimes it does that when I place like a bunch of images at the same time. Maybe it's me, I click something and it's just off. And I love how these images are already a little pixelated. Like there is a grain to it. And if you don't have grain and you want to achieve kind of that same effect for your images at the same time as the halftone, I'd say go to Photoshop and use the grain effect for your images. Like so. Again, using the grid, trying to somewhat center stuff. This one is peeping out a little bit, but it does balance out in the end. And then here, I need to add just a bit more content because it is a cover, so it needs to say what it is. So I'm gonna use another font. And again, if you know me, you've been following my streams, Elza Text, my go-to, part of my brand. Going to uppercase that text. And I will say, by Izzy Poirier, like so. Going to turn that, put it here. Should have made a copy earlier, but I have to say something else here, like confessions from my freelancing desk. Some are quirky. I can't see what I'm typing here. And some are very honest. Exclamation mark. And then I'm going to just make that into a paragraph. Like so. And I can, oops, bring it over here. I'm just going to scale this down just a tad. This is the part that I like, when you have all of your elements and it's just kind of seeing how everything works in the space. Like so, I feel like it could be at the bottom like this. So I am curious to know, for your challenge, what will you be designing? Because here we are doing a zine, newspaper like cover. But what do you want to design with the halftone effect? I'm seeing a lot of nice vinyl design on TikTok with using this effect. Some really cool t-shirt designs as well. So I'm really excited to see what all of you will design with this. Yeah, this is too big. I wanted to make it the same. How about I do this instead? There you go. Okay, so this was done rather quickly. I do have the finished version over here. Let me just go and, oops, the grid. I actually designed on the grid. I'll just remove the grid here. So see, this is the final cover for like what I'm trying to do here. As you can see, I have a different font, and I actually did all of the letters individually, and I wanted to have that also like some has a bit more halftone effect, some have less. I think it gives the effect that I wanted to have, as you can see here. And I love that it is like kind of touching too. It's just like making everything together. And for the concept again of this design, it's essentially saying, well, we're gonna get messy. Even though we have some perfect lips, you can see here, there is a little bit of stain on those teeth if I like. So we're going to get messy a little bit within those confessions. All subtle little design hints that can go a very long way when choosing to do your design. And here, oh yeah, I did this instead in italic, which is super fun. Oh, Cassandre, nice to see you. Frank is saying, I am making a flyer for an event. Love that. I can't wait to see that. Make sure to share it in the Discord where we can comment on your design. So I did that very quickly and we have 2 minutes left. So how about I just continue to add to this design? Or maybe I can do my full name while doing the individual letters as we did before. So here is repeating the same thing a few times is actually how you learn. So it would be here in the image trace. I need to expand before, expand appearance. There you go. Ignore color, preview. Perfect. Now I can just duplicate that. I can do the same thing here. Expand appearance. Ignore color, preview. And this is what I meant by making sure the kerning is correct. You want to think of kerning as if there was a balloon with water filled up, and that same balloon needs to fill the full space within all of your letters. Someone told me this about kerning once, and it just opened up a whole new thing for me. Oh yes, if you wanted to color, this is great. So here I will need to expand again. So once you expand, you can just basically have all the colors that you want. So this is technically in grayscale, so as you can see here. But if you go to, oops, Windows, color, then I think this puts it back into CMYK. Yeah, there you go. I'm just going to do the eyedropper so everything is in CMYK. And then add some colors. Great question. Thank you for this. So here you go. So I have just a few more things to show you. Oops. There you go. So all the steps that we have basically seen in this challenge is in the presentation. You will find a blank document also as one with a type, so you can have fun with that too. These are some examples. Have fun with different font. This is what I meant here. When it's like a thinner font, you don't get the same effect, but it is very fun as well. And this is the cover put in a mock-up. I mean, how good does that look? So this is it for today. I can't wait to see what you will design. I can't wait to see you next week with another challenge following the newspaper design. Have a great day and see you next time. Bye.